Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
I do.
We've got Chris.
I'm starting to have some nerves.
I'm Kia. Hello, welcome to the show. Boy, we're nervous. Oh, it's wedding day here at Some of My Friends Read Comics. Dun, 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 dun.
It's actually Valentine's Day.
I'm singing wrong. Oh, you're right. It is Valentine's Day. Oh, isn't that romantic? Yeah.
So romantic. But I'm having second thoughts, and I've got to create some dramatic tension where there was none.
Oh boy, yeah. So we read three very different wedding issues for today's episode, and boy, these were kind of bonkers. They're all from a collection called Marvel Weddings. There's actually 6 or 7 stories in this thing. We're only reading 3 of them. We are reading the Fantastic Four Annual, number 2, number 3. Which one was it?
Number 3.
Number 3 from 1967 or thereabouts.
65.
65. God, why are my numbers all off here? The Wedding of Reed Richards and Sue Storm. We've also got Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 21, where Peter and MJ get married. And then we have X-Men number 30 from 1994, where Scott and Jean, Cyclops and Marvel Girl, nobody calls her Marvel Girl, they get married. And there's some other issues in here that we might talk about briefly at the end. I didn't reread or have read most of these. Yellow Jacket and the Wasp, Quicksilver and the Inhumans.
He marries all the Inhumans.
I think
you did that last episode.
That's because that's how I wrote it in my notes here. It's Quicksilver and what's her name? Crystal from the Inhumans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what was the other one? The Hulk. The Hulk marries some lady, whatever.
Betty Ross. Are any of these marriages still intact?
Oh,
Reed and Sue.
Reed and Sue. Yeah, they're off in some other dimension. Last I checked, off in some other dimension, holding the universe together. But I think they're married, so that counts. But I think that's it.
None of the other ones.
Well, either somebody's dead, or they've been undone, or divorced, or yeah.
It's a sad statistic in the Marvel universe that about 70% of marriages end in cosmically retcon.
Oh man, oh yeah, it is pretty sad. These poor children. Franklin Richards. Well, he's been okay. Yeah, I guess that's what happened when your parents stay together. You turn into an Omega level mutant, and you have all the powers in the world. So that's a good reason to stay with your loved ones. Try to make it work. Talk it out. All right, cool. Let's talk about these comics now. I guess we can just go in order, like time-wise, is how I figured we'd do these. Let's start with the Fantastic Four Annual, number 3, Reed Richards and Sue. And I've read a few of these annuals from the 1960s, and basically the way they work is they just jam in everything that exists at this point that they can stand to draw and try to make a story around it. And this one is no exception. It's Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, the classic team, and Dr. Doom has they're getting married. It's all in the papers, blah blah. And Dr. Doom is mad, so he has a machine that can sway people's emotions, and he decides to make all the villains attack the Fantastic Four at once during this wedding.
I love it.
Hard.
It's so dumb because the first page he's just even the first page is my nemesis Reed Richards is getting married. I will destroy him where I know he will be and he'll least expect it. He's so bitchy and it's so cute.
And I'd read this one before too. I knew it was a mashup of everything, but even rereading, I was like, I cannot believe how just completely transparent this comic is. Of just we're just basically shoving everybody in. Everybody gets a panel. Every superhero that has existed until this point, and if they're not there, we're gonna put a little explanation and tell you to go, read the Hulk's comic, read Namor's comic, find out where they are. Everybody else is here.
Yeah, we talked about this when we read Sinister Six. Which is also a Spider-Man annual, which it seems like this is a sales pitch for every book that Marvel's publishing. Hey, you thought that Captain America guy was cool? Go check him out. Go check out Thor. Here's Doctor Strange now, guys. And this issue is fucking lit. I love it so much.
I like this one. This one feels less sales pitchy to me. It feels more just hey, here's our best of for the year. This is fucking everybody in here all at once.
Well, and it makes sense because the Fantastic Four, like even as conceived, were a weird superhero team because they were public identities, which I don't think any superhero up to that point had like public identities. So they're like celebrities in the Marvel universe, which is novel for now, let alone the 60s. And so everybody who's anybody is showing up to their wedding. So like movie stars are showing up there. Tony Stark, billionaire, is showing up. Captain America, Daredevil. I'm just going to say this right now. I think this is what the Fantastic Four movie should be. I think it should be their wedding day and just have everybody just show up. Like all the bad guys try to attack their wedding, and then the Avengers show up and help save the day, and then you end with a wedding at the end, like a Shakespearean play. Done. Walk off.
This is great. This is a great movie. Yeah. I'm into it.
Yeah, I think this is really cool because obviously annuals are sort of bonus issues. But, the sales pitch is basically like, hey, this isn't going to advance any storylines. I mean, I guess it'll change the status quo. But this is basically just like a fun issue, like that's all. It's not trying to be like, oh, this is really going to push things in a new direction. It's just like all your pals are going to be in this one. I mean, it's just like the Avengers movies now where it's like, oh, we got to have these other 4 movies where everybody has their own thing. But then in the Avengers movie, they're all going to team up and be pals.
Yep,
and it's going to be great.
And then there's this psychic ghost dude with apes that I don't even know. I texted you, Chris, about this. Who is this dude?
Oh, the red ghost, man. And his super apes.
He's from the moon.
Oh, what? Man, this guy you just keep layering things.
Or wait, wasn't he? He was like a Russian astronaut? Sorry, cosmonaut who got stranded on the moon. And so he had like his super apes, his apes that were with him, and he like did tests on them. Is that what happened?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like the Fantastic Four. They went up on a manned shuttle with 4 people.
Right, but he had monkeys.
He went up with himself and 3 apes.
Yeah, this guy's great. I love this guy. And we touched on this a little bit about the Fantastic Four being like a public persona. I wanted to mention they really were like the glue that holds the Marvel universe together at this point. Like they were the first big Silver Age thing, kind of for Marvel, and they really were like at the center of everything. Vince, I can't get over this movie idea. This is going to be great.
It's a great ass movie, isn't it? Like literally, this is what you do. Marvel gets the rights back. You either end Avengers 3 or 4 with the Fantastic Four saving the day. They're the world's biggest celebrities. Next movie, their wedding.
Yes, and here, what would be great? Like, this red ghost guy, these monkey ghosts, this guy has to show up. Like, all these random people just have to show up. Just, like, pack it in. Don't explain them. Just, like, these are some weird folks. You got to deal with it. Because that's what the Fantastic Four does.
And I love it because the X-Men are running security for this wedding.
They like Professor X. Yeah, he's a hotshot as well, even though nobody knows he's a mutant. And yeah, he's there just hanging out. Everybody's just hanging out, having a good time.
Except Spider-Man. No Spider-Man around.
He is there though. He shows up briefly to save Daredevil, right?
Does he? Because there's a lot more Daredevil than Spider-Man.
Yeah, and Daredevil in a red suit, which I thought he was yellow and red at this time. Am I wrong? Obviously.
No, that was only. I mean, that only lasted like 4 issues, and then Wally Wood came along and was like, "This sucks. I'm making it red."
Oh no! So Hawkeye was stopping. Oh, I don't even remember who these people are anymore.
There's just it's hard. Like there's no way we would be able to talk through the plot here because it's just everybody attacks and everybody saves the day. And that's kind of it. Like it's nonstop action.
I want to say, Mr. Hyde was going to attack Hawkeye and drop a safe on his head, but then Spider-Man caught it with his webs and then whipped away, and we never saw Spider-Man again.
That's right. Drop a safe on his head, and Hawkeye has the time to look up and say, no time to get out of the way."
Not like this.
Boy.
I love Jack Kirby obviously is a great artist, but I love the sort of uniformity of the design of his villains. Like all of his villains are like, you can just picture them going like, meh. Like they all are like hunched or like have big heads.
Well, there's that scene where they're all zapping Iceman at the same time, and they're all like, this is like the same kind of pose, like, with like random beams coming out of their bodies, and they all like have that same. They're green for the most part.
You got the all-star team of Electro, the Mandarin, the Unicorn, the Beetle, and I can't tell who that is. Maybe Cobra.
He's got wings. I don't. Oh, the Beetle? No, is that the? Which one's the Beetle?
Beetle is the far right.
I see. The blue one. Yeah, I don't know. But it's good stuff. My favorite moment comes from our old friend the Watcher, Uatu, who is forbidden to intervene. Who of course intervenes for a second to give Reed what he needs to be able to beat everybody and save the day.
Yeah, the Watcher shows up and Reed's like, he's like, I can't interfere, and Reed's like, I'm taking your gun, and then he leaves.
But he's like, they go through this fourth dimensional space to get to the Watcher's crib where he's got his gun. And there's this description of this panel where he says it's like a real picture. It's not a drawn picture. It's a real photograph from the fourth dimension. Quote, for the benefit of the science buffs among you. Oh, thank you. This is the fourth dimension as I know it.
Stan and Jack are very cheeky in their narration.
They really are. They're so much fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Stan.
Yeah, but he's not just like normal, but it's fun because he's like, for you name droppers, you're gonna love this issue. And I'm like, I will.
And they're,
I like the author's note where he's like, Puppet Master is like, man, I feel like someone's controlling me, and then it's like it's like. An editor's note, and it's like Dr. Doom is controlling him.
No, that's right. We just saw that. By the way, that is kind of strange that in like the first pages of this comic, we have already got Dr. Doom mind controlling Puppet Master, who is mind controlling another random person to try and poison the thing.
Well, and then Nick Fury shows up, and he's like, "We knew he was being mind controlled because our mind control ray camera caught it." And here's a printout to show you. And the thing's like, that makes sense. Like
the printout to show you is like that makes me believe that Nick Fury did not know, he just wanted to like karate chop this guy, and so he made up an excuse. Like he carried this thing around like, yeah, see, here's the proof that I was able to karate chop. Like it's the equivalent of planting evidence. I think Nick Fury just wanted a karate chop.
I had to stop taking notes because like I was like two pages into this book, like, and I already had like paragraphs of notes, and I'm like, we gotta just let this wash over. This is a book. This is the book, guys.
It is. Yeah. This is great. I recommend reading this. We were talking about Jack and Stan. We didn't talk about the very end where they try to come to the wedding. But they are not allowed. Nick Fury says, no more jokesters coming into my wedding over here. We're locking things down. So poor Jack and Stan, they don't get to go to the wedding.
That's right. I forgot they were characters in the Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much fun. I
will say, not much wedding stuff going on in this wedding issue.
Very little. It has nothing to do with a wedding at all. It's just like, okay, and then at the end, the wedding happens, and everyone's happy. Good news. The other two that we read were way more about the weddings. Not necessarily a good thing, though. Are we ready to jump to Spider-Man?
Let's do it.
All right. So, Amazing Spider-Man Annual 21.
1987.
1987. Thank you. Written by I forgot to write it down.
David Michelin, who David Michelin is showing up too much in this show. He did.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about him on Spider-Man, and a lot from this era that he
did.
Wrote.
Birth of Venom. He did the Birth of Venom books, and he also did the Return of the Sinister Six.
Mm-hmm.
And like those two books, he does not know what to do with Mary Jane.
Yeah. And who did the art for this? It's Paul Ryan, our good friend Paul Ryan.
Good Paul Ryan. Why do the good Paul Ryans die young? That's what Chris said.
R.I.P.
But the cover is great, done by Romita Sr.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it is a nice cover. I didn't spend too long on the cover. But you're right. Going back to it now, it is a very nice cover. And, just a nice wedding with the Spider-Man logo. You know, I got to say, he's in the black suit for this issue during this era, but the classic red suit iconography is all over this book. Like, there's a lot of flashbacks, and like we see the old suit way more than we see the black suit, which is kind of crazy.
Well, you say that, but I was reading it while Bruce was, my son was sitting next to me, and he's like, why is Venom so much in this book? He kept asking me. He's like, why is Venom in this book? And then, like, about halfway through, like, Spider-Man shows up and he goes, yeah, now we're talking. Is what he said. That was his review.
Okay, so but maybe it's because also the first, I don't know, 12 pages or so is all Spider-Man fighting Electro, and an adventure that has nothing to do with the rest of the comic, nothing to do with the wedding. It's just like, okay, here's Spider-Man doing an action thing, saving the day, and we're done with this and on to some wedding business. Like, it just does not come back at all, has nothing to do with anything. It's just a bit of filler.
Yeah, I mean, but that seems like it kind of, like, I was thinking about, like, the death of Aunt May, and Peter Parker is such, like, a good character, and his supporting cast sans Spider-Man is so good, that sometimes it's weird to put Spider-Man in his book. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Because, like, this feels like shoehorned in, like, well, Spider-Man has to show up because Spider-Man shows up, but I'm, like, more interested in what Peter's doing most of the time.
Yeah, but, I mean, a lot of times, sometimes authors are able to balance it a little bit more, and this one is just like all Spider-Man up at the front and then all Peter Parker throughout the back half.
Yeah.
And it's not particularly good Peter Parker stuff. It's a lot of the stuff we've talked about before on the show where it's like, oh boy, I'll never be as rich as my supermodel wife. Wah, wah, and he's just sad about that.
Yeah.
And he's doubting the marriage. It's just it's an issue full of doubt.
Well, it's not like even good doubt. It's like manufactured. Yeah. It's like right. we have to create drama. So like Mary Jane's boyfriend as Bruce has shown up, and he's a dude in the shadows for some reason, and he goes, "Hey, I'll take you to Paris, but don't go to your wedding tomorrow." And it's like, where the fuck did this plot line come from? And she actually like gets in his Ferrari and like talks to him about this. And I'm like, fucking just say no, Mary Jane. And Peter spends the whole time like, should I actually get married? And not like from like a safety perspective, like, I don't know if I should just get married to her. And I'm like, bro, you like proposed already. Like, you like that decision's kind of like, you should have thought about that then and not like the day before your wedding. And also like,
yeah.
And then he spends like a lot of time, he spends some time thinking about like, well, maybe I should have married Gwen. And he thinks about like his past relationship with Gwen, although Gwen has been dead like 15 years in real time. Aunt May's gone through several fiancés.
A lot of time thinking about a lot of this. Aunt May, yeah.
But it is weird. They go to the top of the Empire State Building, and they're like, "Hey, that's the Brooklyn Bridge. Isn't that where Gwen Stacy died?" It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Right. Like the thing is like I can understand like the safety perspective, like like that comes with Peter, and I can understand just being like, this is like a big decision. But, like, there's nothing in this book that really gives me a sense of why he's marrying Mary Jane other than it's, like, editorially mandated. Like,
here's what I was expecting. You get all this doubt, and then, right before the wedding, it's like, oh, no, but here's all the moments of love, and here are the reasons, and this is why this marriage is a good idea. And we don't get any of that. And so after a whole book of doubt, it's like, okay, and then the wedding happens. What? Excuse me?
Right. Yeah, because, like, yeah, I'm juxtaposing this with the Death of Aunt May book that we just read, 2 episodes ago, and that like was like a big like Aunt May was like a big part of Peter's life story. Like there was a lot of flashbacks and a lot of memories of like their whole journey together over the last 30 years of this book, and why Aunt May is important to Peter, and and why she's so cool, and like. That's what I was expecting to get from this book from Mary Jane was like why she's the one, why she's like perfect for Peter, all the great times they've had over the last 25 years of this book. And it really is not in here at all. It's just like we got married out of and I know it's because Stan Lee was bored with the newspaper strip and was like, they're getting married. I was like, so make them married in the real comic also. And so... and so, like, it seems like very fast, like, because this is like, well, we're engaged. Why don't we just get married this issue? Like, they pretty much elope. And it's just like, it's all plots of convenience.
And they're both late to their own wedding, which, look, man, I don't know how weddings work, but the bride and groom don't just run up to the altar from separate directions. I don't know. I don't think that's how it happens.
It's a very The Sims way to get married.
The Sims. My favorite part, there is like one saving grace for me in this book, and that is Peter Parker's dream sequence where he is like tossing and turning in bed, and it's his dream that they're standing at the altar getting married, but it's all screwed up. And Doc Ock is playing the organ. He goes, "That's insane." Captain America says, "It's the American way," and Hobgoblin just says, "Die." And I really enjoyed that moment right there. It gave me a genuine chuckle. Yeah. So this comic was worth it just for that.
It's really interesting too, because when you think about it, Michelini co-created Venom in 88, 89. He's really a villain that exists because of the marriage. When you think about it, like, he wouldn't be the same villain if not for them being married, because that's the whole, what makes Venom different than all those guys in his dream is, like, he knows the whole deal. He could kill Mary Jane, but he doesn't want to. Like, he just wants to, like, mess with Peter. And that's what makes him such a, scary character. And I think that's kind of a cool way of how they use the marriage to, like, make this new villain where it's like, oh, he's not like these other villains where, Elektra is going to rob the bank.
Yeah. I'm pro-marriage. I came up knowing that Peter Parker and Mary Jane were married. Like, by the time I was aware of Spider-Man. So, like, they just seemed like the logical couple. So I'm very much, like, in favor of their marriage and things that create their marriage. My problem with Micheline is that he always kind of just gives her weird artificial, like, conflict. Like, between, like, that stalker she had, or, like, that she makes more money than Peter, and that's, like, her deal. Like, that's their problem that she factors in this plot. Like, so, and then this one is just, like, I have a boyfriend I still want to talk to and get in his Ferrari, and I'm like, like, there's more interesting ways. And I guess I just did, like, a blast through a lot of, like, modern Spider-Man, and I'm like, I like the idea. Him not having a relationship means that he can not have a girlfriend for literally, like, 18 issues in a row and not have to deal with, like, that at all. And he can jump between his supporting cast, which Peter has a huge supporting cast. Like, now, then, like, between Aunt May, between the Bugle. I mean, I was thinking about the Spider-Man movies, and, like, we haven't seen J. Jonah Jameson in 4 movies now that Spider-Man's been in.
Wow. Well, he's too young to get a job there now.
Yeah, but, like the Garfield movies never had Jameson. Peter's had a different girlfriend per reboot. Like, and they're all, like, in continuity. Like, it's kind of just crazy.
Part of the thing, I think when they do bring in J. Jonah Jameson, it's going to be News Network, because that's what he's doing nowadays in the comics. And newspapers, like, these movies are not made for us anymore. They are made for teenagers. And teenagers, I'm not sure if they know that newspapers exist. And so I doubt we will see J. Jonah Jameson running a newspaper in the movies again.
Yeah, he'd be like the Fact Network, which is like Fox Network. But that's all to say, like, having Peter in a marriage forces certain characters to be almost in every issue, whether or not they have a plot. And that's generally to the detriment of Mary Jane, because she doesn't have many plots without forcing her into, like, stupid drama. Although she's really cool. Like, and the thing is, I think, like, what DeMatteis writes about her, and, like, DeFalco, and, like, all the Clone Saga, like, most of what I've read of the Clone Saga, she's really cool, and I like what she's doing. I like how she talks to Aunt May, and I like how they hang out in the Straczynski run. So, like, there's a way to make her work.
I like that too.
But Micheline especially just, like, really irritates me with how he treats her.
Yeah. I will say, though, I do like his portrayal of J. Jonah Jameson a lot. You brought him up, and he has this, like, a sort of perfect balance between, like, hey, we're throwing a nice little party for Peter Parker. We're going to get him something nice. All right, yeah, I'm going to sign this bonus check for him. But it's still coming out of everybody's pay. Like, it was, like, sweet but mean. It was, like, that nice, like, he just walked that line really well, I thought. Yeah. Although at this point, does Peter have, like, a permanent position at the Daily Bugle?
I don't think so. Well, no, actually, he doesn't he? Because he works for that magazine around this time. That's like a Daily Bugle offshoot.
I was wondering, because he, like, shows up at the Bugle to sell some pictures, and they have, like, this good luck party for him for his wedding. And I thought, how did they know he was going to show up to sell pictures if he just shows up every now and then? But I guess he has. All right, I had to make sure to ask.
Also, another, is if we're armchair quarterbacking this issue, I wish Spider-Man had like a bachelor party. Like, I wanted to see Johnny Storm, the Black Cat. Like, I want to see his like superhero pals, Daredevil maybe.
Oh man, that would have been cool. I mean, it is weird seeing Harry Osborn.
Very little fun in this.
Yeah, Harry Osborn talking about how great his marriage is. Peter, you'll love it. Marriage is great.
Yeah, basically, like the only positivity we get in this issue is from Flash Thompson for the most part, who just says like, you'll be fine, man. You're getting married. You love her. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I actually really like Flash, and I think I've said it before on this podcast. One of the things I hated the most about John Byrne's run is he turned the Sandman evil, and he made Flash Thompson like jealous of Peter Parker. And I was like, no, they're like pals. They've been pals.
Yeah, I did not expect Peter's best man to be Flash Thompson. I would never have guessed that.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, but it worked pretty well. But yeah, I wanted to see more superheroes. Spider-Man has so many superhero friends. He did a whole I don't know if you've ever read a comic book called Marvel Team Up, where he teams up with everybody. Everybody loves Spider-Man, so I think he would have, would have been fun.
Everybody loves Spider-Man.
Yeah, maybe Mary Jane could pick up that ancient artifact that turned her into Red Sonja.
What?
Oh, wait! I think they lost the license to that by that point.
Yeah, I did see the previous annual was her in a Spider-Man outfit on the cover.
Oh, that's cute.
But his bachelor party's pretty lame because it's literally just Harry and Flash. So it's like, dude, where are literally any other friends?
But Mary Jane's party is lit. Everybody's in there, and everybody is proposing to her again. Yeah, it's weird. There's a lot of weird people at her party too. But I feel like we're just running around in circles on this thing. It was not exciting. I think it's time to move on to some X-Men, which honestly wasn't that much better. This is from 1994 after... I guess X-Men had just had Uncanny X-Men for the longest time, and they finally added a second book in the 90s. And in issue number 30, Jean and Scott get married. Not a special annual or anything, just a regular part of the series.
Did Scott divorce his first wife, the clone of Jean Grey, or was that annulled?
It no longer it's done because they make mention of it in this issue. That his first marriage just didn't work.
His first marriage to a clone of Jean Grey.
The shit I love about this issue. So I do like this issue. One, because it has no fights, and it really is the most wedding-y of these three issues that we had. It's really just about. It really is. Yeah. There's no real actions because the X-Men can really just pull off being a soap opera, which is cool.
Yeah,
but the cast of 30 people, which I think is fun.
Right, and then they shoehorn in the fact that all the weird X-Men continuity things. They talk about the fact that he was married to a clone of his fiance, and that their daughter from a possible future is there. But whatever. But their 17-year-old daughter is just oh, congratulations on your wedding day. Yeah, and but then there's still sweet moments man, I really do hope we have a kid as cool as you, which is sweet. Yeah. I don't like
Professor X being their surrogate dad kind of character. That was really touching.
And
stuff.
Professor X being this is a public wedding, so I can't wear my Shi'ar alien wheelchair. I have to ride in the normal wheelchair. Things like that. It's just it's cute because it's still ignoring the fact that X-Men is fucking bonkers. But still trying to tell a grounded story. It does it well.
Can I tell you, and honestly, there were some shocking revelations in this issue for me, you guys. I had no idea that Wolverine's handwriting was that nice. Did you guys know that? There's a nice handwritten letter at the beginning from Wolverine to Jean saying, "Hey, it just didn't feel like Wolverine at all."
That's lettering by Bill Oakley, which I don't know if that's the Simpsons writer or not. Is it, Chris? Do you know?
I don't think so.
It's a different Bill Oakley? Okay.
I think he played in the NBA for the New York Knicks. And,
no, that was his brother Charles.
Yes.
Sports. We forgot to mention who wrote this, by the way. This was written by Fabian Nicieza. He did a lot of X-Men stuff around this time.
Deadpool.
And Deadpool, yeah. And art by Andy Kubert, or is it Kubert? I can never remember. Part of the Kubert brothers. Good stuff. It has a very 90s feel to it, art-wise. Everybody's very angular, kind of almost anime-y with a lot of shadows, muscles, that kind of thing.
I don't like it. I don't like the lines. Maybe it's the coloring that just doesn't sit right for me. The inking.
Something's a little off. I think nobody's very well outlined. Everyone looks a little kind of, sparse, if that makes sense.
I mean, he's doing like a Jim Lee impression, kind of.
Yeah. But I bet an action sequence with this art would be a lot better. There was one action sequence where they're all jumping for the garter belt. That is weird. Wait, garter belt? Just garter. What am I talking about? What else happened? It was fun. It was nice. If I had one complaint, it's that there's a lot of internal monologue from too many characters. But overall, I got past that pretty quickly. It was just sort of very touching and nice. And it's the only one that really felt like it was a very positive wedding-y message.
Yeah, I mean, it was very much like a wedding. Like, I mean, even in the first page, like Jean Grey's mom is helping her get dressed. Like, like little touches like that. Like, of course your mom will be there, and your best girlfriends. Like that felt very natural and like very wedding-y to me. And so I liked that.
Yeah, and there was just enough of like looking all superhero-ish. Although I'm curious, this whole public wedding thing. What, like there were so many X-Men there? I guess that was okay. Like nobody was interested in. Is Jean outed as a mutant? Everybody knows she's a mutant.
It didn't seem like they did because like Professor X was like, "Why are you showing everybody like making me walk with your psychic powers?" And I'm like, "Fucking Domino is there. Like people know this is weird."
Yeah, like people know it's like that confused me a little bit. Yeah.
Cable's like cybernetic arm.
Like
although I guess he's wearing a suit, so you can't tell.
Yeah. Well, there's like 8 blue people in the audience too. Like it's fine. We're all blue. It's gonna be okay.
Is Cable Cable's also their kid, isn't he?
Yes.
Cable. With his giant techno-organic arm thing. Yeah. There's some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, he's there, and Val Cooper from X Factor, I guess, is like, well, as a courtesy, we're gonna pretend we didn't run into you here.
Yeah, I think Rain. Is it Rain from X Factor's also there?
Yeah, Havoc and Polaris and Rain are there from X Factor. Actually, Strong Guy's there too. So most of X Factor is there. Mm-hmm. I wish Quicksilver had been there to be like, don't get married.
Yeah, but Quicksilver would have had to bring all the Inhumans because he married all of them.
Whatever. Don't make the same mistake I did, marrying all the Inhumans.
The weird thing is there is like no conflict in this book at all. There's no question of what's going to happen. It's just like we're reliving, like we're just talking a little bit about why this is important, what's going on, why it's important to us, and then it just happens, and it's very nice. It's very sweet.
Yeah, I think it is really sweet because you get the sense of the characters without seeing like a bunch of flashbacks. You're like, oh, these characters have history, they have relationships. Like Beast and Iceman are pals. Like Havoc talks about, his past and, Polaris and whatever. There's all this crazy shit that's happened. And they can kind of bring it up in a way that you're like, oh, that's interesting without being like, last time on X-Men.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in like stark contrast to the Spider-Man issue, like sometimes in these soap operas, you can let characters just have a happy moment, like a happy downtime. And you don't have to like force in conflict in like a weird way. Like you don't have to have Wolverine show up and like make a big love triangle drama or anything like that. Like Wolverine literally just writes letters like, I'm not going to be in this issue, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I kind of like that. He just stays out of it. Like it's a very mature thing for Wolverine to do.
Yep. I do like that one scene of Sabretooth who's like, he's got his like Hannibal Lecter muzzle. And he's like, these stupid idiots. Yeah. If I wasn't muzzled and had my fingers locked up, I'd murder them. I was like, what does this have to do with anything?
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens at the very end? What's that? Was that Sabretooth?
Well, the very end is Professor X.
That's Professor X at the very end.
Oh, with the metal hand?
What metal hand?
In the snow. Oh, not in the very end. I'm sorry. I thought my book was over. In the middle, who's that snow guy that's like...
That's Sabretooth.
Oh, okay. That's Sabretooth. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because he's locked up. This is before he broke out and almost killed Psylocke.
Okay.
Who I don't think she speaks in this issue, but she's there, I assume.
I don't think I even noticed her. Yeah.
Yeah.
This issue did also make me think a lot about Cyclops as he is now, dead. But he went evil because he went crazy about all this stuff and turned into a bad guy, and he died. But it had this sort of strange this guy tried to find love and got married in the middle of time travel and alternate, all this weird shit and everything that's happened to the X-Men. And they kind of talk about it a little bit and of him with Professor X and their dream and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, this guy's he's full of feelings. It was interesting to include this as part of his journey towards insanity. It makes it a little bit sadder knowing that, but it also, I don't know. I was thinking about it.
Yeah, well, and Professor X and Jean, there's that very, I guess, infamous scene in one of the very first Stan Lee issues where Professor X is like, I'm in love with Jean, but I am in a wheelchair. And you're like, whoa, what? She's 16.
Yeah, they very quickly dropped that angle. Yeah,
they very quickly dropped that. But I liked, that he's a father to her, and when she uses her telekinesis, because Professor X can't do it, he's just got his telepathy and hover chair. But she's like, no, I can make you float in the air and you can dance with me. It's not a big deal. And it's very sweet. It's pretty cool that she's able to do that. And then there's a really funny scene with Professor X where he's like, oh, my children are all growing up and leaving me. It makes me very sad.
Oh, yeah, and that
I
scene
like
with
that.
where they can't tie the bow tie and Professor X comes in and does it for them while wondering if they will ever need him again. That was pretty nice. Yeah, it was a very sweet issue. Yeah. This is kind of what I expected from the Spider-Man issue, which I didn't get. Yeah, sad stuff.
Yeah, it's just X-Men was so far ahead of the curve on, Spider-Man's a great character, obviously, and I don't know, I don't even know that I would say Mr. Fantastic is a great character. I think the Thing is, and the rest of them are okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the X-Men, there's so many good dynamics there, and it's just the characters just bouncing off each other is so great. Just Gambit says something and everyone's like, "Shut up, Gambit." And it's so very it's very charming. Everyone has a distinct voice, and it's just I don't know. It was very ahead of its time in having all of these very distinct characters. And I know the Avengers movies now have really embraced that, kind of feeling of Cap's the sort of rube and Tony Stark's the fast talking guy. None of that was really there. That was all just oh, we need something for movies. Mm-hmm. But the X-Men, it's always been there. You always know when Storm's talking to Jean, you're like, oh, is that actually, Kitty Pryde or Jubilee talking to Jean? You would never get them confused.
Mm-hmm. Good old X-Men. We very recently started rewatching the old 92 X-Men series for whatever reason. I don't know.
Morph!
Tell Cyclops I gave him a convertible.
In 3 episodes, Wolverine has said, "Nobody tells me what to do," or something to that effect 3 times. So 1 for 1 for every episode. What's the line? I goes where I wanna goes. And he goes away from the wedding. He didn't want to be there.
I will say the cartoon really poisoned a generation against Cyclops. He was already kind of shitty because he did leave his pregnant wife to be like, oh, Jean's alive? Gotta go. But the cartoon really, he made him but Professor, we'll miss training in the danger room. Made him such a loser.
He was lame Leonardo.
Poor guy. I really do like the current version of Cyclops, though, which is a Cyclops from an alternate world who is now living in our world, where Cyclops went crazy and turned into a bad guy and was killed, and he's got to be like, yeah, but that was that Cyclops, not me. I'm a different Cyclops.
Is this the same Cyclops that was stolen from the 60s era?
Yes, that one. Yeah,
that was a good book by Bendis. I liked that one.
Yeah. I only read a little bit of his post Cyclops going crazy. It was pretty interesting.
I need to finish that book.
Yeah, so that's that wedding. What were the other weddings that were in this thing? I don't really want to spend too long talking about them. Quicksilver married all the Inhumans, we know that. Yellow Jacket
and Incredible Hulk married Betty Ross.
Yes.
Yeah. But, like, I can't imagine that was interesting to me at all. Like, I have never found the interest in reading like a Hulk solo book. I don't know why. I just don't care.
I mean, you're wrong to have this opinion, especially about a Peter David wedding issue. Like, Peter David is the master. Like, if you ever read X Factor, any version of Peter David's version, I do like
Peter David. Yeah.
It's full of stuff like this X-Men issue where it's basically just characters talking to each other and being jerks, and then like there's occasional superhero fights.
I think that's the problem. I can't imagine the Hulk having a supporting cast that is interesting to me, and that's the problem. I think it was better in the Thor movie because Thor was a supporting cast and Hulk was awesome, but that's about it. Sorry.
So Kia, guess what's next episode?
No, Hulk.
No, but that would be funny, right?
That would be good. But so okay, maybe I'll give that one a try later. Maybe it'll be more romantic, more exciting. Yellow Jacket and the Wasp, I had read ages ago. Chris, I know you've also read it a while back. It's some weird ass identity stuff with Hank Pym going crazy, losing his mind.
Yeah, which the Wasp takes advantage of a mental breakdown to be like, ooh, an opportunity to get married. She does not come out of that story looking good.
Oh boy.
She's like, normal Hank Pym is too busy mourning his dead wife to remarry me, but now that he's crazy, he will marry me.
That's right. That guy was mourning his dead wife for a while. It was a long time ago. Way
back when he was trapped in the anthill days, basically, right?
Yeah, anthill days. Good times. I think that's about all we've got for weddings. You guys want to talk about any weddings here?
Well, I don't think
Vince, your wedding was okay. I remember that.
Yeah, it was okay. It was fun.
I don't think this issue had one of my favorite weddings, which was the Vision and the Scarlet Witch, which was completely batshit. Their wedding was literally the minister that officiated it was Immortus. The Lord of Limbo time-traveling villain was like, sure, I'll be the minister at your wedding.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Like, that's pretty much where things started with her going all bonkers crazy, right? Scarlet Witch. Well, I guess when they fell in love. Yeah.
I mean, that was sort of retconned into like, oh, I tricked her into having like children that were mental projections or something. I don't know.
Poor Scarlet Witch. I hope that happens in the movie. I hope that Infinity War ends with the Scarlet Witch wedding. That would be a lot of fun.
I hope that Infinity War has full Shape of Water style seduction of non-human.
You know what would be great if by the end of Infinity War, everybody in the Marvel Universe just partnered up with someone else. They all got married together at a mass wedding, and then like a big The End popped up, and like surprise, there's gonna be no more Marvel movies. Like, we're done. This is it. This is the big finale, the ending. Everybody got married. Happy ending. We're done.
Yeah, and the after credit scene is just them on their honeymoon as a mass wedding in Hawaii. In Hawaii, surf contest.
Mm-hmm.
They're wearing trunks over their costumes like Batman and the Joker.
And who comes surfing in? But the Silver Surfer. Oh shit! That'd be great.
Wow.
Wow.
Herald of Aqualactus. Well, that'd be weird if Galactus came out of the water. Anyways, that's a story for another time. I think we're done here. What's going on next time? What are we talking about? Oh, yeah, Black Panther.
Somebody's stepping in the spotlight this week.
Yeah, Black Panther's coming out. Everybody's very excited for this movie. I'm very excited for it. But we are going to read... We already read some Black Panther proper a while back, but we're going to read some issues where he joins the Fantastic Four. He and Storm went back when they were married. That's a wedding tie-in, right? They joined the Fantastic Four. Issues 544 through 550.
Yeah, and
this was right after.
So they become part of the Fantastic Four because who leaves?
Reed and Sue. Like during Civil War, I guess they had some differences of opinion, and they need to work on their marriage a little bit. You know, it's always hard to have a marriage that spans two political viewpoints. But two
political viewpoints in 4 decades. At that point.
Yeah, that's it.
They'd been married 40 years at that point. A 40-year itch.
Yeah. So they got to go. They got to go work on that. Maybe bang it out with some alternate versions of each other or something. That's probably good. That's probably what they did. That's my guess. But filling that vacancy, filling that gap. While they're filling that gap, Black Panther and Storm are filling the gap in the Fantastic Four. And was that a good segue? I think we're done. So let's join us next time for that.
It's written by Dwayne McDuffie. We said, right?
Yeah, by Dwayne McDuffie, who did Damage Control, which we talked about, and a lot of cool stuff. R.I.P. And Paul Pelletier. When were we talking about him? What did he draw?
He did She-Hulk, the Tiny People issue.
Yeah, the one issue.
That's right.
Think.
That's right. Yeah, the Tiny People.
It was not Paul Pope, as we established.
Right. Yeah, totally different guy. We should read some Paul Pope at some point.
He did Batman Year 100, which I want to read for our 100th episode.
Oh yeah, that guy was cool. Man, old man Batman, being all old and shit.
Old Batman.
Cool. Mm-hmm. All right, but thank you so much for listening. Join us next time for Black Panther and Storm joining Fantastic Four. I'm repeating myself. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. I do. Oh boy, you do. You do join us. Boy, lock in your vows. Listener, if you haven't already, place a ring on top of this podcast, then kiss the ring, then throw the ring into a pond, and when we emerge in lake form, this is going nowhere. Bye.
Listener and podcast.